Welcome to Maths on Radio, a program catalyzed and supported by National Council for Science and Technology Communication, Department of Science and Technology, New Delhi.
Hello and once again very warm welcome to all of our listeners. Today I am Vishwajit and along with me
Kabir,
we are going to take one more episode, one very exciting topic related to maths in sports. And you guessed it right, it's IPL, one of the buzzword in sports.
yes, the IPL auction is very interesting because generally when we see that auction every year or every 3 years when it happens, we think that these people are just buying players on the basis.
And
of
let me
who
tell
they
you
like.
one thing, I'm pretty jealous of players, those who get sold for 16 crores rupees per year. I mean, in spite of working throughout life, I won't say years, throughout life, one may not be able to gather so much amount of money. And players, they do gather so much amount of money in just one season, that is of 45 days or say max 60 days. One more thing I would like to focus on. Within that 60 days, they have to play maximum 16 matches or 17 matches. That too, say if couple of matches, if they get dropped, still I would say they are going to play only 15 matches. And for 15 matches, 16 crore, a crore rupees per match.
But I don't think a player who's getting 16 crores will get dropped. He will have to play.
Oh, yeah, but one or two matches
Yes.
here and there.
So there is a lot of money involved in this, as you just said, and these owners are putting, and these are all businessmen, so they put a lot of thought into where they put their money. It is not just pure instinct, or they just do not buy players on the basis of who they like and who they don't like. There is a lot of statistics and maths behind what goes on at the auction table.
So we are going to focus on that today.
Yes, and interestingly, we did this study a few years back, focusing on one particular auction of the IPL. Well, while I was a student here in the Department of Economics doing my masters, I, along with 4 of my colleagues, we did this study and we tried to find out what are the different factors that influence the price of a player in the IPL auction.
Okay. So let's come to that particular factor a little later. What I would like to say, that scenario, that headline, that updates coming on various websites after every 5 minutes, that this player has gone to this team, this player has gone to this team, and a lot of interchange also takes place. These are quite interesting, and people are watching live. Not only on televisions but also on the web portals. They get updates, and according to that players, they decide that I'm going to support this particular team in this season. So that makes this particular event, before starting IPL, I'm talking about an event, that is IPL auction, that makes this particular event very interesting.
Yeah, it gives it a lot of publicity because the auction by itself, that ambiguity about which player is going to play for which team, that creates a lot of interest in the media and also in the people. Like every year we have this question around certain players, some for example Yuvraj Singh. Every year he's getting sold for more than 12 crores, 16 crores, that kind of amount, and he's changing his teams also.
Yeah.
And he has a lot of fan following, so all those fans will be keenly watching the auction where Yuvraj Singh is going to play the next year. So yeah, in that sense you're right. It creates a lot of positive vibes for the IPL. Before the IPL, this auction creates a lot of interest in the media and the public.
So, coming to a very specific point, what are the criterias? Even I would like to know, what are the criterias to get selected, first of all, in IPL team? Because many cricketers are unsold. The headline is like that. Many good cricketers are unsold in that particular list.
Yeah, almost every time all the England players go unsold because they are not available for the entire duration of the
and
IPL.
Even players like Hashim Amla or Venon Philander, those who are having a magnificent record on your international cricket, even they get unsold sometimes.
Yes, that depends on the perception. It also depends on their statistics. It depends a lot on their statistics. Vernon Philander does not have very good statistics for T20s.
Okay.
And even Hashim Amla, although he's a very good one-day player, but he does not have that kind of record in T20s. Perhaps because he hasn't played enough.
Okay.
But he doesn't have that kind of record in T20s. So that is one factor. It also then depends on the perception of the player. He's perceived to be more of a test player, which is why he was given a chance later in this one-day career as well. But now he's proved that he is a very good one-day player also. So it depends a lot on perception. But when we started looking at this, we were thinking of what are the different factors, because T20 is relatively new. If you think of it, T20 is still new.
Yeah,
to us.
still it's in infancy
So we
stage.
still don't know how to say that a player is a good T20 player by looking at the statistics.
I would like to interrupt you. What are the indications that T20 is still in infancy stage in spite of being a very popular format of the game? Once ex-Pakistani captain Ramiz Raja has said there was a debate going on what kind of score should be enough. If you are batting first, what kind of score should be enough to register a victory in T20 cricket? And still that question is unanswered. In spite of, I remember first T20 game, international game, we have played somewhere in 2005, and now it's been 10 years, but still it is going without an answer.
Yeah, and India has accepted T20 only in 2007 after we won the World Cup. Before that, we did not even want to. We did not want anything to do with the T20. But after that, we realized. So it's been new, and one reason one indication that I can see where we can say that it's in its infancy, and we do not know a lot about this format. There's still a lot more to explore about this format. Is because, like you said, there is still no answer to what is a good score. Even in one-day cricket, you can give a band even if it's a bad pitch, it's good for bowlers. And on the other hand, if it's good for batsmen, the score will be something between 300, 400 now that the game has changed so much.
Yeah.
But in T20, you can't say that. Even on certain pitches, even 120 is good. On some pitches, even 230 is not good. So that difference is huge. And because, there is no one method to captaincy also. The captains have not been able to devise one method of captaincy, which seems to have come up in one-day cricket, where you have the first 15 overs, where you can build your innings, and then you take it easy till the over number 35, and then you go for the ball again after over number 35. But in T20 you don't have that, because the game is so short and it is also relatively new, so you don't know how to approach the game. You don't exactly, only some captains have been able to crack, like Dhoni has been able to crack it very well. But I don't see any other captain who has done that. It will take time. And one another indication is that we still don't know what a good average is for a T20 batsman.
Yeah.
You can't say. In Test cricket, you can say someone with an average of greater than 50 is a good batsman. In one-day cricket, you can say someone with an average of greater than 40 is a good batsman. But in T20, you can't say anything like that.
Yeah, if a batsman is having average of say 30, because normally on screen I say I can see 30 plus scores. How many 30 plus scores he has made. But you cannot take it as a standard. If I am making 31 runs in 31 odd balls,
yes,
then it's something not very a cheerful situation for my team.
Exactly.
So I'm taking you to that particular point through IPL auction. When you do, now let us assume that you are going to purchase a team. so you can well imagine your condition while doing your wealth management, I would say. Now, first portion we concentrate on is batsman. So what are the criteria they take into consideration while choosing batsman?
So yeah, when we started doing this, T20 was even newer, because this we did 5 years back.
Okay.
So T20 was even newer, so we did not know very much about it. So we just tried some trial and errors. So we were studying economics and we did regression analysis on this under Dr. Hatekar, who's our CEO at the radio station. And we tried doing that. So we mixed up a lot of variables. For batsmen, what we took was, at that time, our knowledge was that average is very important. But then we studied the T20 game a little bit and we realized that some people have an average of 40 and the strike rate is 95 or 100. They are actually going to be a liability for the team in certain cases. Because they are eating up a lot of balls and they're not scoring enough runs.
I would like to take you to first season of IPL. They have selected many technically sound players. At that time, Pakistani players were allowed. So, Salman Butt was there in their team.
Kolkata team.
I guess he was in Bangalore, but let's get into that. One is Shivnarine Chandapal.
Yes.
Another one is Rahul Dravid was their icon player in Bengaluru.
But he adapted very well.
But first season was so terrible for all of them that eventually even Jack Callis.
Wasim Jafar was.
Yeah, Wasim Jafar was there. Jack Callis was there. Now these are technically very sound players. As you said, they have adapted well. Rahul Dravid and Jack Callis, to be more precise. They have adapted it quite well. But first season was a terrible situation for them. so much so that they end up on a second last position, and ultimately end
and
up
their
in...
owner even said that I'm not very happy with the team. We have
Yes.
selected a bunch of test players.
Yes.
That happened in the first season. But then they worked around it. Jack Callis eventually became a very good T20 player. Even Rahul Dravid did.
Yeah.
And Shivnarayan Chandrapal also in his own way was a good... He is also very unorthodox, so he does those laps over fine leg and stuff. So he also became eventually a successful T20. Not as successful as he was in the test arena, but he was still successful.
So this is one of the
So
criteria.
at that stage, if you start doing it in the first year, for example, if you did this, you would not know with certainty like we do now that how important strike rate is. What kind of strike rate would you need for a T20 match? You would not have known that in the first auction because you just did not have enough T20 cricket happening back then. So there was no way that you would have known. So that, which is why Bangalore got the team they did, which is why Hyderabad also in that season had the team they did. And the teams with unorthodox players like Brendan McCullum, Dhoni, they did better. So this is the same problem that we faced while we were picking variables. At first, we also thought that average, since all our life we have been taught, that averages are the most important. We have never spoken about strike rates.
No one really taught us, but we learned it.
We learned it, yes. But but that's what we learned, that averages are more important. And strike rate, in test cricket, no one talks about strike rate except for Virender Sehwag's strike rate, which is also recent.
That's right. So while selecting batsman, a criteria which first comes in your mind is a strike rate?
The first thing that came to mind was averages, naturally.
Okay.
And then we realized that averages alone are not enough. So we need something else also. So we made a multiplication of average and strike rate. And we took a factor of that.
Okay.
So average into strike rate, and then a factor of that to put it into our regression analysis. So that was the we just did not take average. We did not take only strike rate. We took a compound of that.
Okay. So one more thing I would like to know, on position of a batsman. Some players are extremely good as an opener. Some players are extremely good as I would say, a lower middle order. Number 5, number 6, they play quite well. Mahendra Singh Dhoni is prime example of that. So this also is one of the factors.
It is possible to do that, but why we could not do that was because if we took openers, if we were looking at openers, we would have to compare only openers then. Then in that analysis, we would only have openers. Then what happened was that we had few variables. We did not have enough variables to run a regression analysis because there were not as many players, only about 40 openers.
Yeah, so, but I'm telling you, like, I'm just asking you, like, suppose a player has got a good strike rate record, good average record, and as you said, you are multiplying it and taking a factor of it. So suppose a number 5 player is having good strike rate with a good amount of average, and he fits in your team, but he's good at only number 5. He's not good at number 4, not good at number 6 or number 7 or even at number 1. Like Sachin Tendulkar has preferred choice to play on number 4 because he has got proven track record on that particular number. So that is what my concern is. Like suppose if you select and there are already packed side which are good in playing in middle order. So how do you deal with that particular situation?
Well, that would depend on the individual team, particularly what team they are looking at, what kind of players they have, what kind of openers they have. Because even we have seen in T20 that teams have different kinds of openers.
Okay.
The perfect opener is Chris Gayle. He has a good average, he has a very good strike rate. But then there are other kinds of openers also like Brendan McCullum who do not face more than 15 balls on an average. But in those 15 balls they score a lot of runs. They score at a strike rate of 200. So there is this kind of opener. Then there is also another kind of opener like Mohammad Hafiz who will probably go at a strike rate of 110, 115. But he will hold the innings together. So then depending on what kind of opener you have, you decide your middle order, what kind of middle order players you need. So you need a perfect mix of these kind of, you need attributes, you need someone who can go at a strike rate of 150. You also need someone like Mohammad Hafiz who can hold the innings together. And you also need someone down at the number 5, 6 or 7 who can again go at a strike rate of 200. So you need a mix of all of those. I think in T20 cricket, those lower middle order numbers 5, 6 or 7, they all have to play the same role.
Okay. One more thing I would like to ask you. Have you seen any team which goes only in one pattern of batsmen, suppose right-handed batsman, I want to select all 6 right-handed batsmen on top order or all 6 left-handed batsmen, or they prefer some variation like 3 left-handed, 3 right-handed, 4 right-handed, 2 left-handed.
Ideally, team would prefer a combination of right and left, because we've seen that it's always better to have a right and left combination because it disturbs the line and length of the bowler. So teams prefer that generally, but there are not so many left-handers in the market. So now we can say it is a market.
Yeah, it's a market.
Earlier we could not say that. Remember that Rahul Dravid once said that I do not like the idea of putting prices on players. This is before the 2007 IPL auction. But coming back to your first question about averages and strike rates of number 5, 6 and 7, I know, because what you're trying to say is that they have different roles. So, that is the reason, to negate the impact of that, we have taken the combination of average and strike rate. We have multiplied the two. So, if a player has a lower average but a greater strike rate, he still gets a good factor there. He doesn't get a disadvantage of having a lower average.
Okay.
On the other hand, if someone has a higher average and a lower strike rate, he still gets the benefit of his higher average. So that is how...
So the combination works for that particular player.
So that negates the impact of what position he is batting in.
Okay. One more thing, that is a stature, that is a texture of the tournament, I would say, that you need to play. I mean, I'm talking about playing 11. You need to play with 7 domestic players and 4 foreign players.
Yes.
So while selecting foreign players, you prefer one genuine bowler, one batsman, or say 2 batsmen, or 1 all-rounder, or probably a keeper, or whatever combination. I'm talking about domestic players. Do they select any player as a surprise package? Like every time we see some new batsman comes in and he chips in for a couple of victories and suddenly becomes star player for that particular team. Like Paul Welthati is one of the example who played for Punjab and suddenly he disappeared. But he was precisely for that particular 2 or 3 tournaments, and he has given sizable victories to Team Punjab.
Yes, and in fact Rajasthan and Punjab are the 2 teams who do that very well. Rajasthan always every season they come up with some new player from the domestic circuit who's doing very well. Even Punjab now, like they had Paul Welthati, they have Sandeep Sharma, they have Gurmeet Singh, who have done well for them. And all the other teams, especially Mumbai, doesn't do that at all. Mumbai doesn't invest in local players at all.
No, but I will slightly differ. They have got Aditya Tare and a few players. Ambati Rayudu, when he came in Mumbai as a player, now he's permanent a member of that particular squad. But he was not on international arena.
No, he was well established. Ambati Rayudu was a well established
domestic
name.
But in domestic circuit, I would say.
Yeah, he was, but he was always talked about as the next Sachin since he was 17 or 18.
Yeah, he's definitely
a good player. And then he joined the ICL, so that is why he was always in the news. So what I'm saying is that Mumbai only select people who are in the news. They do not think too much about it.
One thing is
they also have another team on the bench.
Yeah, another team. This time we could see Jonty Rhodes and Shane Bond and Ricky Ponting and Anil Kumble and so many players.
Robin Singh.
Robin Singh, Paras Mamre.
And Ricky Ponting, Sachin Tendulkar, they are all there in the team. And the batting coach of the team is Robin Singh.
My goodness. So that is something which is focusing our criteria to select batsmen in IPL.
So I'm coming back to the nationality part. So another important factor that we saw was the nationality was very important. Like you mentioned that we have this rule that 7 players have to be Indians.
Okay.
Out of the 11, 7 players have to be Indians. And in the market, there are not as many good Indian players available. So the best Indian players get a lot of money, which is why it's always, if you talk about the 16 crore people, they are always Indians. A foreigner never gets that kind of money.
Yeah, but I do remember players like Glenn Maxwell, they
got a lot of money, but the top players are always Indian. The people who are getting the biggest money is always the Indian.
Always Indian.
Yuvraj Singh, Gautam Gambhir, Dhoni to begin with. They are always Indian because there is they get a rent because they are scarce in commodity. They're scarce in number and they need the teams need many more of them, and we don't have enough. So which is why they get that scarcity rent.
Oh.
Like we called it in our analysis, we called it a scarcity rent. That because because the demand is so high for these players, you need 7 in 8 teams, which is 56, and you do not have 56 very well established Indian cricketers.
Yeah, that's right.
So which is why people like Sehwag, Gautam Gambhir, Yuvraj Singh, they get a lot of money. Even Dinesh Karthik, year on year, we see that he gets a lot of money.
Okay.
Because he's among the next in line. He's not playing international cricket. Even then he gets a lot of money. He will get more money than Glenn Maxwell.
Yeah, and in comparison with 7 per team, we are talking about 4 per team. So that makes only 32 foreign players.
Yes.
And 32 foreign players are quite easy to get.
And which is why a lot of foreign players go unsold as well.
Yeah.
Someone like Ross Taylor went unsold.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So that is the reason that they have that rule that only 4 foreign players can play in the 11. And that is how the economics of it works then. That Indian players get a lot of money.
So you mean to say to make it more interesting, we can include more foreign players?
Well, I have been, yes, I would say that.
Fine.
And it would also improve the quality of cricket.
Okay.
Well, let's see if IPL happens this year.
No, it will definitely. It is probably one of the, I would say, a discovery or invention on the horizon of T20 cricket.
It is, but it needs to slightly clean itself also.
So that was Kabir guiding us about IPL auction with respect to batting. So next time when we join Kabir, he will explain how bowling and fielding and captains also get selected through this particular IPL auction. Thanks Kabir for being with us in our studio. And this was...
Thanks a lot, Vishwajit. The pleasure is all mine.
Yeah. So you are listening Match on Radio, Season 2, Sports in Radio. Keep on listening. 107.8.
मेरा पढ़ने में नहीं लागे दिल क्यों मेरा पढ़ने में नहीं लागे दिल पे क्या पड़ गई मुश्किल
एक्सक्यूज मी मैडम, देखिए पढ़ाई अभी और भी आसान हो गई है। मस्त रेडियो लाया है मैथ्स ऑन रेडियो, तो आज से अपने दिल को बहलाइए हमारे मैथ्स के एपिसोड सुनते सुनते। लॉग इन करें www.mastradio.in यानी MUSTRADIO mastradio.in और लाइक करें हमारा फेसबुक पेज रेडियो मस्ट कम्युनिटी रेडियो। तो अब आपका दिल पढ़ने में जरूर लगेगा।
Maths on Radio, a program catalyzed and supported by National Council for Science and Technology Communication, Department of Science and Technology, New Delhi.